What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. A happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone and all the Irish folk watching. I have my loveliest Fuck Fine Gael and Fuck Fianna Fáil shirt on to celebrate the day. Obviously tonight we've got St. Patrick's Day Slam over on AEW, but we're here to talk about Impact last night on 316 Day, another, some might say equally important holiday, Stone Cold Steve Austin Day. Now, I should address, I didn't make a Sacrifice review. I've actually still to watch all of Sacrifice. I just had a really busy, hectic, nuts weekend. But we're here on a Wednesday morning to talk about the Tuesday night, and the show opened with FinJuice and Triple XL in a non-title match. Obviously, FinJuice are the new Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions, and this match was fun, man. I'm a big fan of Triple XL. I think when I got back into Impact, I was like, oh yeah, they're sort of, they're there. They're okay. Just two big dudes. But the more I watch Triple XL, the more I fall in love with him, especially Larry D with that big knockout power in his right hand. I think he's amazing. Triple XL were able to isolate David Finlay after a very early flurry of offense from the champs, and they really put the work on him. But eventually, Finlay was able to escape, tag out to Juice, a lot of fast-paced offense from the pair of them, and they were able to pick up the win. David Finlay getting the pin over Larry D, I believe. Yeah, Larry D. In a really, really good opening match. After the bell then, the Good Brothers walked out. And we're saying, we shouldn't have lost it. They're doing the whole Good Brothers thing. A kind of typical Good Brothers promo, we shouldn't have lost. It was actually his fault, even though I got pinned. That doesn't matter because you were too drunk. Usual, just giving each other shit. And Finlay and Juice said, well, look, you can have another shot at our titles, but we've got to go to Japan. We've got to do a tour in Japan. So how about this? We'll see you in April at Rebellion. And that means the tag titles are going to be off for just over a month. But that puts the tag titles on a New Japan tour, which brings so many more eyes to Impact every Tuesday night. And oh my goodness, I can't wait. But then had a Sami Callihan brawl hyping the main event tonight. Of course, tonight the main event is Sami Callihan and Trey Miguel after everything that's gone on between them over the past few weeks. I actually realised that last week I forgot to put in my notes, so I then forgot to talk about Trey Miguel wrestling Sam Beal. I mentioned the setup, that I actually didn't speak about the match. But Sami, sets up this match with Trey for later on in the night. Just hits on all the points he's been hitting and just really, really drives so much more intrigue to the main event. The Good Brothers then storm into Scott D'Amore's office and, they say, look what's happened here. And Scott goes, I know, look, I booked you guys in that match thinking you're the best tag team in the world. I didn't think you were going to lose, but you did. So we can't take those belts off them because they're going to Japan. But I can make you guys number one contenders for when they come back. So they walk out of the office and Tommy Dreamer walks in. And Tommy sort of says to Scott, well, Scott, we don't have any tag champs. And then Scott D'Amore goes, well, look, Tommy, I'm running a business here. I am now building bridges with a company that hated us for over a decade. But you know what, Tommy, how about this? Why don't we just book it like you and Paulie used to do and run a company into the ground? Because we can all just do that. We can all just run a company into the ground and have fun and book our mates and ruin the business. So how about this? We've got Hardcore Justice coming up as the next Impact Plus show. Tommy Dreamer, why don't you book it? I think Tommy Dreamer just pulls out a page of notes. He goes, actually, I had some ideas about that. So Tommy Dreamer is now in charge of booking Hardcore Justice on, is it the 10th? 14th? The 10th? It's something. It's on a Saturday in April. The newest member of Violent by Design, Rhino, was wrestling Jake something, and this match really quick, and I don't think it needed to be anything more. Normally, I'd be upset that Rhino beat Jake something, because that's what happened. He almost very quickly. There was some outside interference. Chris Sabin and Diener threw a couple of punches back and forth. Joe Doran got involved and tried to choke the life out of James Storm. Eric Young ran a bit of a distraction. One gore. It was, a few, we went 2-3 minutes. Normally I'd be pissed off that Rhino beat Jake something in 3 minutes, but now that Rhino was a part of Violent by Design, I'm totally okay with this. Violent by Design just continuing to grow. Obviously Rhino still has the Call Your Shot trophy, which is a great wrinkle to this story. I'm excited to see what happens when Heath comes back, which won't be anytime soon because he only just got a surgery, but it's everything with Violent by Design I'm a big fan of, and I was a fan of this match. Following their implosion last week and their falling out last week, Shera took on Rohit Raju in a really fun match. Rohit, as you know, I love. Rohit is my guy. I'm a massive, massive, massive Rohit fan. And I just think they had a really, really great match. Obviously, it's always a bit odd when you see the big guy, little guy match and the big guy's the babyface, but they worked it really, really well. This is the best I've ever seen Shera wrestle. I know I've not watched a lot of Mahabali Shira matches, but I used to watch him back when he first joined. It was the stuff with Grado, but he looks he's come on leaps and bounds, and obviously Rohit's there playing off him perfectly. Rohit though, despite the fact he's about a foot shorter than him, did not look out of place in that ring. Rohit, with the second best knee in professional wrestling, just a really, really amazing match. There was a bit of distraction to the ref, sort of misdirection. Rohit got a roll up, foot on the ropes, and picked up the win. And that's the right call. You don't want to give Rohit too many losses. And Shira can eat a loss to a guy like Rohit, especially because he's been outsmarted by, the wily heel. The question this leaves me with, though, is where does this leave Rohit? Obviously, it looked like he was going to, go into the tag division after being such a mainstay of the X division. And I was okay with that. But now him and Shira have split up, and they're about to take the World Championship off of Impact for a number of months and put it on Kenny Omega, which means the X Division title scene's going to get really muddied. I think it's just going to be all about the X Division title, which I think it's good they put it on Ace Austin, if that is the case. But I don't know, what do you do with Rohit? Do you put him back in the X Division? Do you just have him do like a Tenille Dashwood thing where he's in feuds that don't really have any meaning for a while? It's confusing because I think Rohit should be wrestling Kenny Omega in my mind. That's you can't change that. It's there. It's locked in. But I'm curious to see what happens with Rohit. Like I'm optimistic. I don't think I'm going to make an ass of it. But hopefully they have solid plans in place for Rohit. Willie Mack was then catching up with Rich Swann backstage. Obviously, Rich Swann has just won the Unified Impact World Heavyweight Championship on Saturday. And he just sort of says to him, he's like, look, why don't we go out and celebrate? And Swann goes, nah, because I've got some business to take care of first. I've got some stuff on my mind, but we'll go out. So then Swann goes to the ring, both his titles, and he cuts a promo and he just says, look, Moose, I may not like you, but you're a hell of an athlete, hell of a wrestler, and I respect the hell out of you. But I am the Impact Unified World Heavyweight Champion. And on March 24th, I believe, I will be defending these championships against Kenny Omega in a title versus title match. Then Don Callis walks out, and Don Callis goes, look, Rich, cut me off if I tell a lie. Stop me if I'm lying. I'm a Rich Swann guy. I pushed hard for you to sign to this company. When you broke your leg, I made sure that you kept getting your money every couple of weeks. When you came back, I was the one who fought for you to be in that main event. People said this guy hasn't wrestled in 10 months. Why are you putting him in the main event? Well, I said Rich Swann deserves to be in the main event here at Slammiversary. And he says, listen, Rich, you're a once-in-a-decade talent, but here's the thing. Kenny Omega means more to me. You might be a once-in-a-decade talent, but Kenny Omega's a wrestling god. The god of pro wrestling. Not wrestling god, that's JBL. He's the god of pro wrestling. And on April 24th at Rebellion, it's going to be another one-winged angel, just like what happened at Hard to Kill. And it was much better, longer, but it's just an amazing Don Callis promo. And I'm so excited for this match. Now, do think it's dumb that they unified the Impact and TNA title, because Kenny Omega's not losing this match. I think he will probably lose to Rich Swann in the future, dropping the Impact title back, but that'll be for a while. And why would you take both World Championships off your show to then... I don't know. But I think the match is going to be great. This promo is great. It really did, build the hype. I say build the hype. There was already a lot of hype. I was already really, really excited. But, I am excited for the match, but I think the booking could definitely be better to save Impact, I guess. I mean, the only way to save it, really, to have a top title that people are vying for on the show, is have Moose beat John Moxley for that US title, and then have Moose just sort of straddle all three shows. I can get behind that. We then had the paid ad for the night, and this was also great, obviously, but tonight's show, St. Patrick's Day Slam, Tony Schiavone had a little green leprechaun hat on. It was fun. It was really funny, and there was no big funny moments like the earlier ones. It was just big dumb fun. Ran down the card. The Good Brothers are going to be on AEW tonight. We've got the first ever Lights Out on Dynamite, and the first ever women's main event in AEW history. And it's going to be a really, really fun show. We then had a promo backstage with Eddie Edwards, Matt Cardona, and Brian Myers. Eddie Edwards and Matt Cardona are talking about what happened on Saturday. Obviously, Cardona got involved, helping Eddie pick up the win after Hernandez came out to run interference in their hold harmless match. And Myers walks through the door, Cardona said, hey, look, you can, when you go, I'll handle this. And he's talking to him. And he was, look, you know, what's your problem? We're friends, but every time we show up to work, you say you hate me. And Myers goes, look, we are friends. We've been multi-time tag team champs, and that's great. But Impact Wrestling was my place. Impact Wrestling is where I came to break out as a single star, and I did. I don't want you here holding me back. And then he just walked off. And I'm so excited for their match, whenever it is, because it's going to be great. Put it on Rebellion. Yeah, put it on Rebellion. We then had a 12 knockouts tag team match. On the heel team, we had Deonna, Kim, Susan, Fire and Flava, and Tennille Dashwood. And on the face side, we had Jordan, Jazz, ODB, Havoc, Nevaeh, and Alicia Edwards. And this was, you know, standard 12-person tag match. Just lots of nuts action, high spots, finishers, counters. It was really good. There was one point where everyone just like had a big move on each other, and then 10 of them brawled to the outside. The only two that were left in the ring were Jordan Grace and Tasha Steelz, who threw some forearms back and forth, then looked at each other, looked at the outside, looked back at each other, then hit the ropes and did double suicide dives onto everyone. It was great. The finish came though. Jazz and Kimber were in the ring, and Jazz locked her in STF and made her tap. And next week we're actually getting Jazz and Deonna Purrazzo, which is a match I've been pushing for. A match I've wanted to see since that camera panned around that TV that one time, and it was revealed that Jazz was Jordan Grace's tag team partner. Oh my god, I love it. Jazz is still, like, in 2021, Jazz is still unfuckable. You love to see it. Gia was interviewing Ace Austin, now the new X Division champion. Let's take a minute to celebrate that Ace Austin is the X Division champion, shall we? Fucking yes! So anyway, the man who killed TJP to death and took his title. Fucking yes! Sorry, I'm a wee bit excited. Ace Austin was talking to Gia Miller, and he said, when I arrived in Impact on an undefeated streak, TJP showed up, and he ruined that. He talks about being the youngest ever two-time X Division champ. There's a bunch of other things, you know, it's just, he's only, what, 24? Madness. But as he's talking about his plans for his reign, up walks Chris Bay, and Chris Bay goes, well, last Tuesday, I beat you. So, you know, what does that say? And as Chris Bay was taking his claim for the X Division Championship, up walked Josh Alexander, who also laid claim to that title. And this segment was going so good, just so perfect, and TJP walked up and fucking ruined it. TJP walks up and just cuts the pair of them off, and as they're lining up, TJP just walks in front of them, and Ace Austin goes, the line starts there, so you go to the back. And TJP goes to the back line, and Gia sort of leans over Bay, and Alexander gives the mic over. He says, I've been talking to Scott D'Amore, and he said next week I get my rematch. Because when you're the best, you jump the queue, and then he just like walks past Alexander and Chris Bay, and at that point, if I was them, I would have just jumped him. For real, just stomped him out. Because he's an arsehole, and he's the most unlikable babyface in professional wrestling history, and I'm including Roman Reigns. Then we had the main event, the Sami Callihan and Trey Miguel match, and this was amazing. This was so good. Was it as good as the Chris Bay and Ace Austin match from last week? I'm not sure. It definitely was up there. Just some of the mad stuff that happened. We had Trey sort of, you know, Trey's like slingshot stunner thing where he like bounces off the bottom rope and comes up. He did that to the outside, onto the floor. It was just honestly such amazing storytelling. Sami Callihan worked the leg the entire match. Trey was like struggling to get him in, to lock in the hourglass, and then he did, and Sami got out of it by just biting him in the calf. I really can't do this match justice with words. I do urge that you seek it out on Impact Plus. It was around about 15 minutes and it was just incredible. The finish came, Trey went up to the top rope and Brian Hebner was down checking on Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan was acting more wounded than he was. And Trey's just there screaming at him like, Brian, move, I need to finish this. And then Callihan gets up, knocks him over, grabs him from a package pile driver off the top rope, gets him down, picks him up and just plants him right in his head. And the Death Machine picked up the win to end the episode of Impact. Overall, I thought this was a really, really good episode of Impact. I think nothing on this show didn't hit except for the TJP segment, which was brilliant until he showed up. Fucking hate him. Overall though, great show from start to finish. FinJuice looked awesome. Ace Austin, as the champ, it looks great. Trey Miguel and Sami Callihan were amazing. Shira looks awesome. Rohit looks awesome. Everyone looks amazing coming out of this episode of Impact, and that's exactly what you want. As we move towards Rebellion, it is going to be interesting to see who steps up, so we can sort of get an idea of what the company's going to look like without a world championship on the programming. But I'm optimistic, like I always say. I think, plus it's not what I would have done, I do think they'll find a way to make the best of realistically what is a bit of a bad situation. But we'll need to find out. But for now, that's been it for this week. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and a comment and a subscribe if you're new. Turn notifications on. I try to upload 3 times a week-ish. There's a How Good every second Saturday. Always an Impact and an AEW review, except for when life gets in the way. Oh, also, I started a new podcast with my good friend Cameron Duncan. I'll leave a link to that in the description. It's called The Silly Dimension. We talk about comics, movies, TV, music, just general pop culture, and things that interest us, with a big old silly boy spin on it. It's a lot of fun. The first episode's out now, and there'll be some more episodes dropping quite soon. So yeah, that's it for me this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.